Today we will be discussing main idea and supporting details. Identifying the main idea is a lot like getting to the candy or gum center of the lollipop. Readers must go through a lot of delicious and interesting details to get to the center of the lollipop, or to the most important part of the story, the main idea. Topic versus main idea. They are not the same thing. The topic of a paragraph or text is the general subject. It can be stated in one or two words. The main idea of a paragraph or text is the main point the author is trying to make. It can be stated in a complete sentence. Let's pretend we are reading an article about how cheetahs can run at very high speeds. The topic is cheetahs. The main idea is that cheetahs run fast. Supporting details help you to understand the main idea. Information about cheetahs can be great supporting details to help us understand the main idea. Their small aerodynamic head, their flexible spine for long strides, long flat tail for high-speed cornering, light body weight for maximum speed. All of these supporting details can help support the main idea that cheetahs run fast. Not only is smoking cigarettes a disgusting and smelly habit, it is extremely bad for your health. It has been proven to cause cancer, lung disease, and heart disease, and to weaken your immune system. Smoking makes it a lot harder to breathe, which means it's more difficult to play sports and get the exercise you need to stay healthy. It is also harmful for those hanging around a smoker because they breathe the smoky air. Even though most people are aware of how bad smoking is for them, more than 1,000 people die each day from its effects. The topic of the passage is smoking. The main idea of the passage is that smoking is bad for your health. Throughout the passage, we get a lot of supporting details to help support our main idea. Smoking causes cancer, lung disease, heart disease, it can weaken your immune system, and it makes it harder to breathe. Sometimes the main idea is stated at the start of a passage, so that's a great place to start whenever looking for the main idea. Sometimes the main idea can be stated anywhere in the passage. It's not always clear nor easy to find, so you have to look for the supporting details to help find out what the main idea is. So if it's not in the first paragraph, it could appear in the second paragraph or the third paragraph, even the fourth paragraph or the conclusion. Sometimes you will have to reread the passage and go back to it a few times to figure out the main idea. So look for those supporting details. The Best Camping Trip of His Life by Tracy Wilson. David couldn't wait to get off work, for he had an exciting weekend planned. He and his 7-year-old son Landon were going on a camping trip. As David drove toward the Greenville suburb where Landon lived with his mother, the guilt gnawed at him. He hated that since the divorce nearly a year ago, he had not spent the quality time with Landon that he now wished he had. The 2-hour drive to Landon's new home only complicated the wish for more frequent visits. David decided he was not going to dwell on the past, but instead look to the future. This weekend camping trip was just what they needed. When David arrived, Landon met him at the door, grinning like someone who just won the lottery. An hour later, they were setting up camp. Before long, they headed to the creek bank with fishing poles in hand, as they each sat on a 5-gallon bucket. Few words were spoken, but David knew that old wounds were healing. As Landon reeled in a tiny brim, he looked over at his dad and said, "You know what, Dad? This is the most fun I've ever had." Supporting details in the passage include the guilt gnawed at him, talking about David. David hated that since the divorce he had not spent much quality time with Landon. Landon grinned like someone who just won the lottery when he saw his dad, David. And Landon told David, "This is the most fun I've ever had." All of these supporting details help to support the main idea. David is worried about his relationship with Landon, but Landon lets him know that everything is okay between them. If you get stuck on trying to find the main idea, it helps to ask yourself general questions about the passage. Who is the passage about? What about that person? The answer to those questions can lead you to the main idea. Think about the ideas in the passage, theories that may be in the passage, and events that occur. Your answers to these questions can lead you to the topic. Ask yourself, what about this topic? And that can lead you to the main idea. Another trick, pretend someone asks you, what is that passage about? If you can answer that question in one sentence, you probably have the main idea. For example, if someone asks you, I can't figure out what the main idea is for this article we read in class, think, well, what's it about? Well, it's about hurricanes, which will be the topic. What about hurricanes? Oh, just how destructive they can be and how much damage they can do. Well, there you go. That's your main idea. Let's review. The topic of a paragraph or text is the general subject. It can be stated in a word or phrase. If you're thinking of the hit show, AMC's original series, The Walking Dead, the topic of the show is that it's a TV show involving life during the zombie apocalypse. The main idea of a paragraph or text is the main point the author is trying to make. It can be stated in a complete sentence. For example, about The Walking Dead, the main idea is that a group of people who have become family learn what it takes to be survivors in a world turned upside down after the zombie apocalypse destroys civilization. The supporting details will help you to better understand the main idea. Of course, you have to know a little bit about the characters and the world in which they live and the situation, the zombies, what's going on in that particular lifestyle, the way that people have changed in order to be survivors in this particular world, and how people have come to be enemies of other people and how those things have all changed. And you also have to understand the relationships between the people. What does it mean to be family in this particular world? And that's everything I have for you today on main idea and supporting details. If you have any questions, please join me again in the main room.